What will you do when your beloved pet dashes out the front door, past the Amazon delivery person, and disappears out of sight down the street? What will you do if you can't find your kitty? And you look around the house, and you look around the house, and you find that the front door is open 6 inches. Well, this is a terrible situation. It instills emotion, fear, and panic. It paralyzes our thought. It paralyzes our actions. Stay tuned, and I'm going to show you what to do in these situations and more. Hello folks, it's me, Dr. B, Bruce Bowersfeld, DVM. I've helped tens of thousands of pet owners just like you solve their pets' problems and make you worry-free. So today is the next in our series to prevent pet danger, disaster, and loss. We're going to look at ways to prevent our pets from becoming missing on action. We're going to address the highly charged emotional issue of what happens when our pets are lost. How can we prevent their escape? So let's get started. Our pets depend upon us. Lost, missing, and escape. What to do if your pet runs out the front door and disappears out the sight. What to do if you are looking for Fido or Fluffy under the sofa, under this and under that, and all of a sudden you discovered the front doors open and ajar. What would you do? Panic? I think that's our normal response, panic. I propose that there are better solutions. I know my blood pressure would go up even if I knew what to do. I know that I would be concerned and distraught, and that's normal fear response when one of our loved ones disappears. But I hope by the end of this brief session, you'll have the equipment and the knowledge and the resources available to you to create a game plan and act as you can appropriately to make sure that your beloved pet is safe and comes home. Remind yourself that this panic, this paralysis, this is indeed a terrible situation, and it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be concerned, but it's not okay to let that concern and to let that emotion paralyze us, because I think that's what happens all too often. In 18 years of rescue work, working with the Newport Beach Animal Shelter, the most important thing that we remember is that we've got to keep an accurate, big picture of the situation. I think many of the problems that we experience is a mindset that, let's back up. Before Fido or Fluffy disappeared, I don't know about you, but for me, I worry about my pets all the time. I think, what happens if someone in the house that unknowingly leaves the door open? What happens if one of them decides to break through the fence? What happens if an earthquake knocks down the fence? I like to worry. You'll have to fix me that at some point. But the most important thing is when you extrapolate all those worries, that you can take a deep breath and sit back and think, well, if that happens, I know what I'm going to do. I want to change your mindset from, I don't know what to do, I wish I knew what to do, I wish I could be more prepared, I don't really know what to do, to, oh, I have an idea of what I can do. I have resources. I'm not alone in this situation. And so we're going to go forward with that. There are two phases of what we need to talk about today, an action phase and a preparation phase. Because if you have to act and chase Fido out the door or discover Fluffy's gone and you don't know where to look, if you don't have a preparation and a plan and those resources, then you are entitled to panic, but we're not going to let you do that. So this significant mental component I'm going to keep harping on, because if you have a plan, you're going to be able to have something to hang on to and to go forward when the fear and the emotion grips your stomach and says, I don't think I'm going to see him again, or I don't think I'm worried about her. I don't know what's happening, where she's at, and what might be going on. All those are legitimate fears, but we're not going to let them stop you from finding them. Because when I was doing all the work in the shelters, we would have the puppies and the kitties here, and people weren't looking for them. People didn't didn't look for them. They weren't coming in the front door. They would be here for days, sometimes weeks. I had a mechanism so that the city wouldn't take them away and do something evil with them after 5 days. But we would have them for weeks, and someone would show them and say, "Oh, he's here. I didn't know that I was supposed to be looking for him." And we would think, "Duh, what on earth are you thinking?" And the reality is, and it came to me over a very long period of time, it's kind of sinking in. The reality is the emotion and the fear and the panic stop them from thinking. And I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want that to happen to you. So here are my short Dr. B's 4 C's of successful pet recovery. Successful pet recovery. Confess, comply, control, and keep calm. Confess, comply, control, and keep calm. One more time. Confess, comply, control, keep calm. What do I mean by all that? We'll take them one at a time, 1 out of 4. We'll start with keep calm. Take a deep breath, and you can fall back on the fact that yes, you have prepared. Yes, you have a plan. Yes, you have resources, and you know what you do. The fact that you do have a plan and you are prepared will allow you to keep calm when panic grips you and you don't know what you want to do next. Think about that. Secondly, confess. Now, what I mean by confess is, I've been there, done that. Trust me, folks. Dog flies out the front door past whatsoever, and it disappears out of your sight. I remember one episode that when we live back up in Manhattan Beach, we have 5 burners. I don't know why. I'm in the back of the house. The front door of the house is wide open. Diane is yelling and screaming, the dogs are loose. And what does that mean? I'm in the back of the house. I don't know if the dogs are loose. So I come dashing to the front door is open. No dogs in the house. They're running around the street, running out front door, just circling, having they just created a giant personal dog park right in front of my house, up and down 4 or 5 blocks. So one at a time, we rounded them up and brought them back in. But that was a severe panic situation. And it was night and dark and streets and all of that. The most important thing is that when she saw a problem, she immediately confessed that there's a problem, I can get help. Because as soon as you admit there's a problem, you can get help. Many times, the pet disappears, you're home alone whatsoever, you were responsible for keeping the door closed whatsoever. And I don't want anybody to know that I left the door open or something like that. So when we enlist and train all the members of the family this, if the pet's gone whatsoever, it's not whose fault it was, it's we're all in this together to get Fido and Fluffy back and back home. So that's the first episode, is to admit that there's a problem, confess that there's a problem, and then go forward. Comply is very simple. Use, in the height of emotion, what you need is a supervisor and someone to tell you what to do. Your checklist, what you're going to end up with through this process, is going to be just that. It's going to be your set of orders that you can comply with to go forward and make sure that Fido and Fluffy can come home. Control, the whole process of being able to go from point A to point B and getting things executed will give you the control that you need and will keep you on the track. And so we're now going to go into the preparation phase and see what we need to do to be prepared. What should you have at your disposal right now? If you have it, great, check it off on your list. If not, make some notes, and we'll be able to get the information down in black and white so that you will have a plan and you can exercise control and you can exercise the compliance you need to get things to go forward. So let me check my notes and make sure I'm not going to miss anything. So before your pet is lost, think ahead. What would you need to do to recover? Before your pet's lost, what would you need to do to think ahead and make sure that you can recover? What type of information do you need? What type of equipment do you need? What type of resources do you want to have at your disposal right at the time when you discover no one's where they belong? We'll find out. So a good and current photograph. You don't want the cutest puppy picture of a 10-year-old Doberman going down the block. That puppy picture, and that isn't going to find that Doberman. Trust me. So you want to avoid the cutesies and get something that's representative. I'm actually converting our photo arsenal to kind of a headshot and kind of a 3/4 body shot that has all the colors and all the markings and the like. I think the two of them side by side in a poster could easily make it significantly easier for someone to identify and to make a match. A microchip, can't emphasize the importance of a microchip. We'll come back and through that. A collar and ID tag, a list of contacts that you can, the contacts or resources that and phone numbers of people that you're going to be able to enlist as helpers in your search and finding your pets. Social media accounts. I'm going to come back to those in a 2 seconds here. The collar and ID tag, it's not either or, not a microchip or a collar or an ID tag. All got to be there. A lot of reasons for that. Let's list them or think about them. The microchip is there whether your dog's naked or not. Over 50% of the pets that come to my shelter without a collar, the owners eventually report, he left home with a collar. He left home with a collar. Don't know where it went. Well, neither do I. And that, I don't think, is an inaccurate statistic. I believe they left home with a collar. And I know they didn't come to me with a collar. Where does it go? Probably slipped off. Probably slipped off. But no way to know for sure. The collar and the ID tag give you so much of an advantage in a whole bunch of different things. One, it makes someone that grabs the pet before they get to the shelter, it gives them the confidence that it's not a stray, someone cares about your dog. If it comes to the shelter with a collar on, subconscious, subliminal evidence is that the shelter personnel or you think someone cares about this dog. It's not a stray. It's going to find a home. We can help. So it gives it an increased status, whether it's on the road or down the street. The tag, even more so. When you scan it with a microchip, double effective, because all of that is going to increase the personnel's interest in getting your puppy back to you. It's going to increase their ability to care for it, not ability. It's going to increase their interest and the desire to provide care for it while it's in their custody. And it's going to get Fido and Fluffy home, all three, because you can't depend on them all being there. I mean, maybe that you took the collar off while you're grooming and the like, but the microchip is always there. The microchip won't help you find your pet in your neighbor's front yard because your neighbor's going to pick him up, bring him in the house, not going to know what to do. Not going to know what to do. No collar, no tag, neighbor doesn't know what to do. There's a huge problem. I'm off subject here, going down a trail that maybe I shouldn't have, but lost pets need to go to the shelter, period. No exceptions. Good Samaritans think the shelter's somehow evil. They keep them in their front yard so that they can take care of them. Well, I'm sure they can take care of them, but the owner is not going to find Fido or Fluffy in your front yard. They're looking in this direction. You're going to do something in the other direction. Some of the social media things and posters and things like that will help you link them up. But the place for the dog and the cat that's lost is in the shelter. Because where am I going to look first to find my lost pet or lost dog in the next 12 hours, 24 hours after it disappears from the front door and it can be picked up and found by animal control? It's going to be in the shelter. That's safety, and that's good. So much for that. Social media, contacts, phone numbers, two basic principles. Now it's a digital age, right? Everything's in the phone. There's two problems with everything in the phone. One, I hand the phone to a helper, my wife, my assistant, some friendly person. Call the police, call Sally, call the animal control, call this. They don't know how to use this phone. It's got a password on it. It's different than their phone. It may be an Apple. They may understand how to use it. They probably don't. So don't believe that in an emergency you can hand this to anybody that can and get any help. Great for you, great resource. We'll come back to that. It's got to be on a hard sheet of paper. It's got to be on a hard copy that someone that can read and write and execute the plan. The same thing is true for your social media accounts. You'll want your social media accounts, obviously digitally in here, your Facebook, for using Twitter, whatsoever. I don't know if it's nationwide, but all of Orange and Los Angeles County have this nifty thing called Network Neighborhood. If you're on that, you shouldn't. If you're not on that, you really should be, because that connects you with the neighborhood. Things are happening whatsoever. Fido's lost, you can send a text. It's an email thing. Send an email out at such and such address. My black and white Doberman Pinscher, 5 years old, just disappeared, help. And you'll have people out looking right then, right now. So that's extremely important to have pre-programmed. You don't want to say, oh, I should do Network Neighborhood. I wonder what the URL is, wonder what the link is. Maybe I should set up an account. No time when Fido's missing. Do it now, do it ahead of time, be prepared. So what type of equipment might you need? Be prepared for day, be prepared for night. I talked previously, we're going to have probably a separate, maybe little mini thing designated, dedicated, that's the word I want. We're going to do a separate little thing dedicated to exactly what my go bag looks like. But a go bag is simply a device. I use a little fanny pack that has the essentials for basically a dog walk and or capturing your pet. Leash, flashlight, cell phone. Make sure you know where your car keys are. And the most important, well, the complementary important thing is to have business cards if you have a business or those things like that, but a little notepad, a tear sheet, and a pen. Why? Because as you're traversing down the street, you're going to find, did you see Fido? Did you see Fluffy? A little black and white Doberman, my example fell apart. A black and tan Doberman just dashed by here? No. Call me if you see him. So if you got a business card, hand it to him. If you got just got a tear sheet, write your name and your cell phone and give it to them. And they can find them and the like. Don't get too high tech here. One piece of information, your name and the cell phone is probably best. They can use the cell, they can text. If you start doing this Facebook account, if you can have little pre-printed cards, there's nothing wrong with that. But most of us aren't going to have that at our disposal. But too many people stay with simple. Stay with the cell phone. Don't have multiple means of contact. You'll confuse the recovery process. Helpers. Who can you get to help search? Well, first of all, your family and your friends and your neighbors, 1, 2, and 3. So in the media, their names and telephone numbers will be on the list. They'll probably be programmed in your cell phone, but they'll be written on the hard copy of your information. Your veterinarian should be a resource as well. So those are type of personal type resources. There are what I would call commercial or community type resources. The local animal shelter, know where it is, know what their phone number is, know where their website is. The community network, I mentioned Network Neighborhood. There'll be other types of things. My community has an email central thing used mostly for lost pets, but for some communications, for meetings and the like, that you can post things on. If you're active on Facebook and your friends are on Facebook, do Facebook. Same thing with Twitter or Pin or whatsoever. Instagram. All of those can be used instantly so you have two phases. You want some instant help that can help you search for Fido in the first hours that they're gone. And then we'll go back in phase 2 to post information on all these social media accounts so that your extended family on these and social media can help provide information on where to find Fido or Fluffy. Microchip company. At this point, you, in the back of your mind, you want to think, oh, I don't know for sure if Fido's information is correct at the microchip company. If you've been following me along, you've already gone through your pet's microchip information, you've verified that that's perfect, and you do that once a year. But if you haven't done that, Now's the time, because if Fido ends up in the shelter says, "Oh, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, they contact the chain of command is they get the number from the microchip scanner. They call the microchip company. The microchip company says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 belongs to Sally Smith. Here's her phone number. They call that phone number. Disconnected, not in service. Doesn't get Fido or Fluffy back home. So make sure that the contact information in your microchip company's database is correct. Important. So for this next section is the action plan. What are we going to do if Fido or Fluffy escapes? We're going to divide this into two subgroups. Escape and lost or missing. Escape is you just see them, or you have reason to believe that they just got out. That situation you want to do immediately. Keep the kid in visual contact at all costs, or get out and start looking. Lost or missing, you come home from a day at work, school, shopping, whatever, and the door's open and Fido or Fluffy is missing. So you're not sure when it's occurred. You can start looking, but you probably need to investigate getting immediate help in your contact list first. So first things first, escape, just ran out the door. Now, this is some basic dog stuff. We're gonna do a little special thing for cats here in a second. But in general, if you have visual contact with the dog running whatsoever, two things. One, you know your dog. I don't know your dog, so I can't tell you specifically exactly what you're going to do with your dog. But the basic principle of any loose situation is you're not going to be on a dead run chasing them. The chase creates chase. The chase creates a game. So you're going to do what you can to maintain visual contact without chasing. Now that sounds like a dichotomy, but it can work. And I'll talk about that a little more in a second. But if you can at that point, and you have your cell phone, call for backup. Get someone else involved in the whole situation. You've got the contact list on your cell phone. You can speed dial that. If you can call someone back at the house to get in the car, come out and help whatsoever. Maybe you're already in the car and you're in the light. My burners are not likely to go. I mean, right now, I mentioned that episode of those 5 dashing out the front door. Well, it was a dangerous situation from the standpoint of cars and traffic at night. Not many streetlights, black dogs, dark cars, very dangerous. But I didn't have a big concern that they were going to take off and running. I don't own Siberian Huskies. If you got Siberian Huskies, they could be in the next county in 5 hours. So knowing your dog. The second thing on an out the door situation is knowing the dog's normal paths and behavior. Where do you normally walk? That's probably where he's going to go. Where does he normally pee and poop? That's a good choice of where he's going to go. If you take the same route every day, chances are he's going to go down the same route. So if you came home and Fido or Fluffy were missing, but you actually didn't see them out the front door, first path I take is your normal walk. This chase thing is very interesting. If you go back to my basic philosophy of dogs, I never chase my dogs. When we play, I let them chase me. I chase them not. And that's primarily because I don't want them ever, ever, ever running away from me. When I say, Aura, come, I expect her coming this way and whatsoever. And that's what I want you to do as well. I've had more than one savvy dog owner save their dog's life by the following mechanism. Dog was loose, park type situation. I remember one specifically being up on a big, like Highway 2 up in the mountains, dog loose right by the side of the street, not perfectly comfortable with the whole situation because it's they just got out for a potty break or whatsoever. Fido come didn't respond. if that individual would have went towards the dog, not fast or whatsoever, high likelihood it would have moved away. What did that individual do? She turned around, tried to make eye contact with the dog, and ran in the opposite direction. Ran in the opposite direction. And guess what? The dog followed because it was a game. Being out was a game. The chase was a game. But now she turned the flipping around inside the dog's brain. The chase is on. I'm chasing you. And she got the dog. Happens time and time and time again. So remember, it's the game and the chase according to the dog if they've got visual contact with you. And you want to be it, not him. Make sense? I hope so. I hope you don't have to use that, but it will work. Second thing, when you're out with a car, most of the time the dog will try to get in your car. Most of the time the dog will try to get in your car, particularly if it's been out for a while, and especially if it likes the car. Right now, if you turn any one of my dogs loose in the back of the office or my house or anywhere in the parking lot, they're going to look for a big white van, and they're going to start circling the white van trying to get in. And if your dog door is open, if your car door is open, they'll probably jump in if they're loose. I've seen it. It's kind of cute, except when the owner or the person in the vehicle wasn't that impressed. That's another story. So some final thoughts as we kind of wrap this up. Make the list, prepare the list, and make sure you go over the list with everyone in the family and the household. Everyone should know where the list is. Everyone should have had a chance to review the list and kind of gone through a scenario, a make-believe scenario. What are we really going to do if Fido or Fluffy's out, or if Fluffy's unfindable in every closet and hiding place that that he or she normally is in? So not necessarily applicable to each and every one of you, but a census. I've got multiple dogs. I got a mini flock of Bernese mountain dogs and kitty cats and things running around the house. We've got basically a magnet board with each of the pets' names on it and where they're at. Because right now I'm at the office. I brought 2 dogs with me. My wife could go out having fun somewhere, even if it's COVID, not likely right now, but go out for an errand, she'll take one of the dogs with her. People are walking the dogs all the time at the house. Occasionally, not so much now because everything's closed, but 1 or 2 of the dogs will be away on holiday. 1 or 2 of the dogs will be away on with the handler for the dog shows. So there's a census in the house at any given moment of which pets are supposed to be there. And that's important. If you only have 1 dog, there's only one thing to keep track of. But if there's multiple, particularly if there's multiple and people mom's has the basset hound and dad has the Doberman and Sally has a kitty cat, and they might be off doing their own thing. You don't even know who's in the house at the time when things disappear. So knowing what's there and when will greatly help you. And when that front door is open and you don't know how many or which ones you're supposed to be looking for. Make sure on the list, consider making a list of all the pets in the house with perhaps pictures on them that could be used by first responders in the case of some fire that might come in the house. It has nothing to do with lost or missing per se, other than the fact that at least the fire personnel would know exactly what you're doing. And you could make little stickers on the doors that said, firemen save my pets. I think those are nice, but those kind of disappear. They rarely are updated. I think like an 8x10 sheet in the window with a picture of each pet would be a lot more effective and the like. Just think about that. Don't forget, lastly, don't forget fuel. There's nothing more anxiety producing in a crisis situation, whether it's an emergency and a disaster, or I got to go find Fluffy, than an empty tank of gas. Think about it. That full tank of gas will take your anxiety level and put it way down to neutral. That's what I want for you. No anxiety. Today we've addressed the lost missing pet disaster, potential disaster dilemma. And I hope I've shared enough information with you that you can act and make an action plan so that if you do have to act and take measures to retrieve Fido or Fluffy if they're lost, you too can bring them home safely and easily and expeditiously. That is my prayer for you. Well, that's all for today. It's me, Dr. B, signing off. Have a great and happy, successful, and not lost pet day. If you missed the previous episode, this video here. If you want to see the next in the series when it's available, the video down here. Thanks for joining me today. Most importantly, please share these videos with your friends so that they and their pets can benefit as well. I can't wait until I see you in the next episode.